Hi, my name is Dave Tomlanovich. I'm from New Covenant Fellowship in Knoxville, Tennessee. I'd like to take a few minutes to share with you on this video some work that we're doing in Guatemala, the northern district called the Patan. We hope that by viewing this video that you will see the opportunities that exist there to help the poor people there in the rural villages who desperately need clean water. Guatemala, you've probably heard of Guatemala. Guatemala is actually in Central America. Our work is in the northern part, the Patan district. All of the villages that we've been working in are within a 40-mile radius of the city of Flores. The roads, there are paved roads in the Patan, but the areas that we work in these rural villages, in order to get to them, you have to get on some very small roads. They're very rough, they're not maintained. Well, lack of clean water is the primary cause of poor health. When you talk to any of the healthcare people, it's always about the water, the need for clean water. And water sources vary in these villages. Sometimes a lot of the villages have some of these shallow wells. They dig by hand and put these concrete casings in, but there's so much contaminated surface water that drains in right next to the well that the water in the well is very contaminated. These wells are about 20 feet deep, 20 to 30 feet deep. Some villages, the source of water are ponds, and this is one at the village of Yasha. This water was used for everything from drinking to washing their clothes and bathing, and it was the only source of water. In the dry season, this pond would completely dry up and they would have to walk a couple of miles to a lake to get their water. This is the village, Guadas Nuevas. The drinking water source in Guadas Nuevas was shared with the animals, with the cattle. Cattle would drink on one side of the fence in the background, and the people would go down on that little dock and dip their water, and that would be their drinking water source. So our goal was to improve the health of the people in these villages by providing an uninterrupted supply of clean water. Now, in order to have a ministry like this, someone has to be there on a daily basis. John Lamb is our project leader. We also work extensively with the healthcare people in the Patan. They're the ones that have helped us identify where we need to do our work. This is Dr. Meda. He's head of the Northern Patan Healthcare. And Dr. Sosa, on the far right, he's head of the, Dr. Sosa's head of the Rural Care Program. So, the way we do this, since there's a dry season of about 4 months long, we provide water by hauling it during that period of time. During the rest of the year, when there's ample rainwater, we set up rainwater collection systems. This is the truck that we purchased in Knoxville, Tennessee, and we put a 2,000-gallon tank on it. Before we had funds to purchase enough tanks for all the families, but we did have the water truck, we set up 2 community tanks in each of the villages, one at either end of the village. The family tanks were tanks that we put in as funding became available to purchase a tank for each family. The 2 tanks are the same size. They're 1,000-gallon tanks, the community tanks and the family tanks. And our water truck would held 2,000 gallons, so we could fill both community tanks with one trip to the village. And there are people that live not in the villages, but along the roads or on their farms. So oftentimes they will set containers out alongside the road. When we come by, then John will stop and fill their tanks. Okay, over the last 5 years, John has hauled 616,000 gallons of clean water. The second aspect of the water ministry is to provide a family tank, an individual tank for every family in the villages that we're working. Now, the way we do this, John will go to the village and he will have a meeting with the leaders. He'll say, we're getting ready to put in rainwater tanks for every family. And he will tell them what the conditions are, what we expect them to do, their responsibility to get materials to build the roof for the tin and to build a foundation for the tank to set on. And when that's there, then he can bring the tank and set them in. And then he explains to them that the tanks belong to Ministerios Agua Viva, that they're not allowed to take the tanks with them if they move. They belong in the village. Well, the next thing is we order the tanks. As the money becomes available through gifts, donations to this ministry, he orders the tank from a hardware store in the Patan. We load the tanks on our water truck and on our pickup truck and drive them out to the village. These tanks are such a blessing to these people. They could never afford a tank like this. They would never have enough money to buy one of these tanks. So this is such a huge blessing to them to have clean water. As you look at these pictures of examples of the tanks set up, you'll notice the components include a tin roof. Now, some of the houses have a tin roof. If the house has a tin roof, we'll just use that tin roof. If they have a thatched roof, we'll have the villagers set up some posts and build a structure to put the tin on. And then they put some gutter on the edge of the tin, and the water goes from the gutter into the tank. He puts a valve on the tank, and then part of the maintenance that he does is to go around and check the valves, make sure they're not leaking, and keeps them in good shape. The good news about this ministry is we're accomplishing what we set out to do, and that is improve the health of the people. We're getting very good reports from the healthcare workers in the villages and the healthcare department that the people are healthier. Parents will come up to John and say, my kids don't get diarrhea like they used to. The healthcare workers are saying, we don't use the stomach medicine that we used to use all the time. It's just much better for the kids and the adults. We've now put in 132 tanks as of November 2006. All of those families in those villages now have their own rainwater collection tank. And the result of that is we're not having to haul nearly as much water during the dry season, because when every family has a tank, even if they get a couple of rains during the dry season, there'll be enough water collected in all of the tanks in the village to keep those people from running out of water, and keeps us from having to haul water. We recently requested of the health department in the Patan some documentation on the remaining need for clean water in that area. Dr. Sosa, who's head of the rural health care program, prepared a brief report for us, and in that report he stated that in these rural areas there are still over 14,000 families who are drinking water from lagoons, from shallow dug wells, from ponds, from sources of water that are unfit for human consumption. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope that you are encouraged by what you saw. And I hope also that you will consider being a partner with us. As you can see, there's still a lot of need in the Patan. And for $550, you can adopt a family in one of these rural areas, provide a rainwater collection system for them, and they'll have an uninterrupted supply of clean water. You will improve the health of the members of the family by doing this, We would really love to have you be a partner with us and hope you'll join us. Thank you.